Notice of a public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene an executive session and a regular meeting on Tuesday, April 7th, 2015, at 5:45 and at 6 p.m. in the Commission chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall Old Federal Building located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. Executive session, Mayor.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Did you read the item?
Regular meeting, Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Thank you, Brad.
Let's pray. Father God, we come to you in the name of Jesus Christ, first of all, to thank you for the many blessings we have here in Brownsville. Lord, we thank you for the leaders that we have here before us today, and we ask you to give each one of them the wisdom, the guidance, and the integrity to do what's best for Brownsville. Lord, we thank you for all that's going on here, Lord, and we just ask you to help each citizen to do their part to continue making this city all that you desire it to be. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Action on items discussed in executive session. Discussion and possible action on resolution numbers 2015-022 through resolution number 2015-039, approving the various bids received from the tax resale held on November 4, 2014. A legal description is in the minutes and the agenda.
Do I hear a motion?
Would approve?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor's activity update.
I have no activity update.
Well, I just wanted to say real quick, did we get the email with the pictures? I had 2 items I wanted to report on. One was the graffiti cleanup that we had about 2 weeks ago in District 2. Wait, that's the Easter party. We'll start talking about the Easter party first. I wanted to thank our Parks Department, Shannon Guerrero Contreras, and everybody that worked on our Easter Easter party. We literally had over 3,000 people attend our Easter party at Kabler Park this past, Friday? This past Thursday or Friday. It was right before Easter. It was beautiful. And it is one of the most beautiful events that I have ever seen at the city, because everybody comes together and celebrates this special moment. And we had 3,000 people, about 2,500 children. And it was a wonderful, as you can see, I mean, it looked like it was a concert to have everybody there. This party used to be downtown, and when we renovated Portway Acres Park, I requested that the city maybe consider moving it around to other areas of town so that more children would get to participate and enjoy the egg hunt. And so they obliged, and we have been moving it. It was in Portway Acres. It was again in District 2 this last year, and it was really, really exciting. And another thing I wanted to tell everybody about was our graffiti cleanup. We did it, it was a Saturday morning, and we had about 40 kids from our high schools show up to help battle the graffiti in District 2. I want to thank Eli De Leon with Keeping Brownsville Beautiful. I don't know if he's here. He's not here. But we had all of the paint, everything donated by Keeping Brownsville Beautiful. We were able to paint all through Austin Road, Mackenzie Road. Yeah, that's me, just in case nobody believes I was out there. And it was a lot of fun. We got a lot done, and we had people stopping, thanking us, and just really, really appreciating the cleanup effort that went into that. Hopefully it lasts, but it was a lot of work, and I really wanted to thank all of the students that showed up. We had a lot of kids from Hannah and Veterans Memorial. We even had an assistant principal from Veterans come out and help us. So we really, really appreciate it, and as you can see, it was a lot of work. And that concludes my District 2 activity update, the Easter party and the graffiti cleanup.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mayor, I just have a couple words, if I may. I don't know if everybody knows, but I'd like to congratulate Commissioner Tetro and her husband on being pregnant.
Thank you.
I don't know if that's a first for a commissioner, but congratulations either way.
Thank you, I really appreciate it. It was a huge, huge blessing, and we are very, very grateful. Thank you. Couldn't have come at a better time during a campaign, but we're very, very blessed, and we're grateful for this blessing from God. And I feel like this baby is going to be part of this city and belongs to all of you. So again, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
I have a report.
Go ahead.
Is that it, John? I just want to thank the Health Department and School of Public Health, all of our sponsors for our Ciclovías for another great kickoff to Ciclovia 2015. We started this year with Ciclovia 2U, which is taking Ciclovia to each district. So we were up on Morrison Road a couple weeks ago. Many thanks to traffic and police for your constant support. And we had 7,000 people out on the street enjoying the day and kayaking and flying kites and everything else that you can think of between 12 and 5. We saw large results in terms of the retailers along the route seeing increase in sales and booming economic results from being on the route on a Ciclovia day. We are now back at the drawing board. Our next Ciclovia will be June 6th, and we will be going to District 2. The route will be unveiled soon, so keep tuned.
And
Thank you, Commissioner.
I just have a quick announcement. I just wanted to talk about the continuing work at the entrance of the Country Club on San Marcelo Boulevard. I know there's a lot going on, and it's a little bit difficult for everyone to be rerouted and the dirt on the street and everything, but I just wanted to thank city staff, the engineering department, Carlos Lastra, and everybody that works with him. I know we constantly bug you, but thank you for getting this project done, working together with PUB and the Public Works Department, Santana Torres. And for the other streets, Navarra and Toledo, I know that was a little bit prolonged, but we're moving on that, so that should be done soon, right? That's it, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else?
Yes. There will be cleaning going on behalf of Drainage District Number 1 in the city of Brownsville on the channel areas, or on the drainage ditch areas by A.V. Lopez on Southmost, all the way to Olmito Street. And so crews will be out there doing the maintenance and the cleaning, very much needed cleaning, and they are working on the bank there with A.V. Lopez. They're working in conjunction with A.V. Lopez to fix that. And thanks to Mr. Carlos Ayala and everybody at Cameron County Drainage District for doing that. And I know that everybody in this room that drives down the expressway right now has had some sort of encounter, whether it be with your windshield, whether it be like me that you hydroplaned last Friday or Saturday with the rain. Okay, we had, I don't know if any of you were on the expressway at any time today during the day. TxDOT, thank you, Charlie, for getting a hold of you, and Lastra for getting a hold of TxDOT. TxDOT was out there cleaning out all of the drains on the expressway. But a lot of the time, what we see is trash. It's trash that's falling outside of vehicles. It's construction material that's flying out of people that didn't clearly secure all of their materials as they're going down. It's very embarrassing to go down the expressway and to have pieces of sheetrock in the middle of the street, especially when you drive a motorcycle. You know, driving down the expressway and having pieces of sheetrock, having pieces of wood in the middle. So at my request, and I'm sure that on behalf of the city's request, I've asked Chief Orlando Rodriguez to please step up and to start finding people that are dumping on the expressway. That's really the only way people are gonna learn. Do you wanna, are you saying we're gonna go out there and we're gonna enforce and we're gonna intentionally hurt people? No. But by the same token, you need to take responsibility for what you have. If I'm traveling in my pickup truck with construction material in the back, I'm gonna make sure it's secure. I'm gonna make sure that none of it flies out and that there's no nails on the road, that there's no screws, that there's no pieces of wood. So please be careful. Let's take care of our city. It's very difficult to get a hold of TxDOT and for TxDOT to be able to take care of business because of the great need that there is around the state. But by the same token, we can do our own. We tried doing a cleanup. We're not able to do that. I tried to get a group of volunteers to be able to go, but it's not safe. It's not a good way to do it. And thank God the TxDOT was out there today. But by the same token, we need to take matters into our own hands. And for those people that are having these, if a cup flies out of the back of your truck because somebody threw it there, that's not your fault. You're not going to be fined for that. If you're accidentally driving down and a napkin flies out of the back of your truck, right? You're not going to be fined for that. But we're talking about the folks that are out there and that are driving around with loose construction material and all those types of things. Yes, we will be going after those people because we need to take care of our roads. And Mayor, just before I conclude, it's Dr. Tercero, it's an honor having you here in our chambers. Thank you and welcome. Thank you for being here.
And you too, Chip. The one thing in District Number 1, and I think you posted it on your website, PUB has commenced work
Yes.
on the odor treatment of the South Water Treatment Plant.
Yeah.
So,
Of course.
and if you want to look at his website,
Yeah, and I can elaborate on that for the people. Thank you, Mayor. And of course, you sit on the PUB board, so thank you to you and the board for, there has been $1.4 million allocated, and I believe it's going to happen also at the Robindale plant.
the Robindale plant's already been done.
It's already
and
been
we're
done.
doing the same process as the Robindale, so we know it works.
Okay,
And so by next fall, it should all be completed.
exactly. We have a completion time of December of 2015, fully covered and fully operational by February of 2016. There was $1.4 million in certificates of obligation that were used to pay for the project, and it will be covering all of the domes out there and stopping the odor that people like myself that live on Impala Street, a block away from the sewer plant, have had to endure for years. The people in Avenida de la Plata that live right behind that have had to endure the stench for years and years and years. It's got to come. Were there things being done at PUB? Yes, there were. A lot of people say, well, nunca hicieron nada, nunca se hizo nada. No, sí se hacía. Sí se hicieron cosas. Desafortunadamente, or unfortunately, they weren't the correct things being done. Money is a factor. Okay, PUB is, in my opinion, in a healthy status right now, and they were able to bring these projects in We do have a major park on behalf of Cameron County Drainage District being built in front of the Robindale plant, and that's the urgency on that. And then we have our properties. We have the people that have had to endure this stench for years. Finally, gracias a Dios, we have a project that has come to fruition. And Mayor, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, and this is not being done because it's political season. Don't let anybody kid you. We do projects at the city that take time, that take years, and there's those that'll go out and say, oh, well, you're doing it because you're up for re-election. That has nothing to do with it. Projects come up and the money comes up at the right time. The money was available right now, and that's why the project is being funded. That's why the project is being done. It's not a political maneuver. It's not because we want to move Lincoln Park and we want to make sure that that has nothing to do with it. These were projects that PUB already had online. The funding was the problem. The funding is in place, and now the projects are being done. It has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with politics.
Now, you
So-
can go look at the minutes. Actually, that project's been on the works for a couple of years, and we finally able to rework the budget back in December of last year. So you got to go out for bids and stuff like that. Anyway, it's a good project, and I know it's in your district, so.
Thank you.
Next proclamation.
Point in time.
Okay. A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing all point-in-time count survey volunteers on January 22nd, 2015. Whereas more than 2 million Americans across the country each year experience homelessness in our local communities, compromising the quality of life of the person and the community. And whereas homeless people may be living on the street, camping outdoors, living in their cars or abandoned buildings, or living in a shelter or transitional housing program. And whereas 836 individuals were found to be homeless in Cameron County on the last count, with the majority in Brownsville. And whereas the data collected during the point-in-time count assists with planning future services geared toward ending homelessness, understanding changes in trends among homeless populations, and justifying the need for continued resources to aid the homeless. And whereas 96 local volunteers, along with 16 city staff from the Office of Grants Management and Community Development, spent one day, January 22nd, 2015, conducting surveys with homeless individuals. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by the authority vested by the Charter of said city, and on behalf of all our citizens, do hereby extend our appreciation and recognize all the point-in-time count survey volunteers, and further thank them for their efforts. Done 7th day of April 2015, Honorable Mayor Antonio Martinez and Commissioners. Thank you.
You want to say a few words or something? Anyway. Thank you all for all your work. Appreciate it very much.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners. We would like to recognize all the help that we receive from the public, the city staff, and our donors. Many of these organizations, such as the Good Neighbor Settlement House and the Ozone Shelter, thrive with the help of volunteers. So with the rising numbers of the homeless here in Brownsville, we would like to remind you that if you do have some extra time or some extra items that you would like to donate, the Good Neighbor Settlement House, Ozone Center, and Friendship of Women would gladly take them. Any help that you can give would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Proclamation for National Service Recognition Day.
Is anyone here for this proclamation? Huh? Okay, well, we'll reschedule until we can get someone to receive the proclamation.
Okay, that's fine. Item number 4.
Presentations, Employee of the Month.
The Employee of the Month is here. Mayor, members of the commission, please help me welcome the Employee of the Month for April 2015, Norberto Arambul. Norberto's been with the city for 16 years. He began his career in October of 1998. He began his career with our traffic department as Administrative Specialist 1. He promoted in 2003, and in 2006 he took on the responsibility of being the lead teller in our municipal court. Huge responsibility, obviously takes in a lot of the payments for citations, etc. He also supervises all the other tellers that take such payments. Outstanding employee, always with us when we have issues, training responsibilities. He's there with us on weekends when we have special programs to get people to come in. Outstanding with the public. He's a good communicator and does very well. He's a good example. So as Employee of the Month, I got your pen over here. He gets the pin. Yep. The plaque for Norberto Arambul, Municipal Court, Employee of the Month for April 2015. Let me check. Most of the time the girls get this award. This is a men's watch. Okay. And he's eligible for the Employee of the Year in our banquet in December. So with that, you got. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Glad to be part of this glorious and blessed city of Brownsville. I'm here for the long run, so we'll continue doing our best for the city of Brownsville. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It is. There we have. Are you going to read it?
No. John,
It's on your behalf.
huh?
It's on behalf of the mayor.
Mayor,
Yeah. I think there's some folks here on the National Service Recognition Day. Would you?
yes. And they're,
Ms. Hernandez, pasen por favor todos los voluntarios. Can everybody please come back? No se me quede sentado, don Jesús.
Pásenle para aquí. Aquí.
Buenas tardes.
Ya llevaba un buen rato esperando. Pero alcanzó buen estacionamiento. Eso fue lo bueno.
Okay. A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, in recognition for National Service Recognition Day on April 7th, 2015. Whereas service to others is a hallmark of the American character and central to how we meet our challenges. And whereas the nation's mayors are increasingly turning to national service and volunteerism as a cost-effective strategy to meet city needs. And whereas AmeriCorps and Senior Corps participants address the most pressing challenges facing our cities and counties, from educating students for the jobs of the 21st century and supporting veterans and military families to providing health services and helping communities recover from natural disasters. And whereas national service expands economic opportunity by creating more sustainable, resilient communities and providing education, career skills, and leadership abilities for those who serve. And whereas AmeriCorps and Senior Corps participants serve in more than 60,000 locations across the country, bolstering the civic, neighborhood, and faith-based organizations that are so vital to our economic and social well-being. And whereas national service participants increase the impact of the organizations they serve with both through their direct service and by recruiting and managing millions of additional volunteers. And whereas National Service represents a unique public-private partnership that invests in community solutions and leverages non-federal resources to strengthen community impact and increase the return on taxpayer dollars. And whereas National Service participants demonstrate commitment, dedication, and patriotism by making an intensive commitment to service, a commitment that remains with them in their future endeavors. And whereas the Corporation for National and Community Service shares a priority with mayors nationwide to engage citizens, improve lives, and strengthen communities, and is joining with the National League of Cities, City of Service, and mayors across the country excuse me, to recognize the impact of service on the Mayor's Day of Recognition for National Service on April 7th, 2015. Now, therefore, our Mayor, Antonio Martinez, along with the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by the authority vested by the Charter of said city, and on behalf of all our citizens, do hereby proclaim April 7th, 2015 as National Service Recognition Day, and encourage residents to recognize the positive impact of national service in our city and thank those who serve and find ways to give back to their communities. Done this 7th day of April 2015, Antonio Martinez, Mayor, and the City Commission. Gracias por su servicio. Gracias. Gracias. Gracias por todo. Gracias. Gracias.
Mayor and Commissioners, Michael Lopez, introduce of newly appointed Cameron County Election Administrator. Just thought you would get for Chris Davis, who's leaving, plus the new administrator.
Welcome, Chris and Ramey.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. So I understand you all have an election coming up. Spring is here, and I think the local landscape is blooming with that oh-so special flower, the campaign sign. But we wanted to come here today to just introduce who will be succeeding me at the Cameron County Elections Office. I've taken a similar position in Williamson County, and the County Elections Commission has appointed Remy Garza, no stranger to county operations, no stranger to election operations and some of the nuts and bolts of it. And he's been in the office working with us and working with your great staff. Your new city secretary and his staff have done a great job in working with us and getting your election going. And I just wanted him to say a couple of words and also let you know that it's going to be a seamless transition, and we predict nothing but success for the city's election as a whole.
Well, before we talk to Ramey, Chris, I know I speak on behalf of the entire commission here. Thank you for a great job. We enjoyed working with you. Best of luck in Round Rock. And I've got a brother-in-law that's a dentist in case you need any work. Now, I want to wish you the very best, and to you and your family. And I'm sure I speak for everybody here. So congratulations and good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Remy Garza, and I will be serving as the Elections Administrator for these upcoming May elections. The Commissioners entrusted Chris's office with that task, and I have every intention of earning that trust as well to make sure that you all have a solid, transparent, quick result election.
Well,
And-
Ramey, good luck to you, and we all know you quite well, so good luck in your new endeavor, and, enjoy and have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Presentations, Kaboom.
Hi, good
Hi,
evening.
girls.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. I'm here to present you a really exciting opportunity. It's called the Build It with Kaboom Playground Grant. But first, I just want to give you a bit of background as to how we got here. In October of last year, a group of us traveled to Chicago and represented Brownsville. We had representation from BISD, myself from the Grants Management Office, the Health Department, Healthy Communities of Brownsville, our Parks and Recreation, our School of Public Health as well, and our very own Commissioner Portillo was there with us representing Brownsville. At this summit, we not only represented Brownsville, but we conducted a skit, a really creative skit, and we presented our big idea of Ciclovia to you. And at the summit, we also got a chance to network with a lot of funders. Since then, Kaboom has been working hard through their corporate sponsorship team. They've identified new opportunities for Brownsville since we've been a Playful City USA in 2013 and 2014. So as I said, we have a really exciting opportunity. It's called the Build It with Kaboom Playground Grant. And Kaboom, about 2 weeks ago, they called us and they let us know that they have a secret funder, one of their partners in play, that wants to invest $90,000 in Brownsville through a Build It with Kaboom playground. And it's a really neat opportunity in that it will be built, the playground will be built by the community in one day. The design day will also take place in one day, and that will happen in September of this year. And 2 months after that, it will be built by the community as a whole. And they really encourage youth to be a part of the design process as well as the building process. So if we do accept, we have to commit to being a community partner, and that means that we would have to identify land that the city owns. We'd also have to put up an $8,500 match. We would have to identify a leadership team and also gather volunteers. In addition, we have to agree to participate in PALA, which stands for the President's Active Lifestyle Award. It's a national program that promotes physical activity among youth. And the city would have to recruit 25 to 30 youth ages 5 to 13 to participate in the PALA Challenge. And the youth will have to agree to be active 60 minutes a day for 5 days a week for a minimum of 6 weeks. And that would take place in between Design Day and Build Day. On Build Day, at the conclusion of Build Day, Kaboom will be present to hand out certificates to all the youth that participated in the challenge. Although this funder is really interested in Brownsville, we still have to go through the application process. We have to submit our application, and in that application, we must identify the land that will be the site for the playground. We'll have to go through an interview. We'll have to provide follow-up materials. Kaboom will then review our application to make sure we'd be a good community partner. And then finally, they would notify us officially that the funder will be building the playground here. So today I'd like to present to you our proposal. We're calling this a community-wide challenge, and what we'd like to do is engage our community for a community-wide competition among districts. And we'd like to rally all our constituents to vote for their park to gain this Build It with Kaboom playground. We propose a day in the next few weeks where we would have a huddle, and each identified park would gather all our constituents to vote and rally for their park. In addition, we do have to identify a leadership team. Last week, we engaged our Parks and Recreation Board, and they were really excited about the opportunity. They did identify 4 parks, 1 in each district, and these are recommendations, and if you would like to recommend a different park, or maybe perhaps have more than 1 park in a district, that's totally fine as well. In addition, the Parks Board will establish the competition criteria, which would be in line with Kaboom's guidelines, which will also include creativity and depend upon how many people attend the huddle for their park. And so here's a map of the districts, and these are the parks that the Parks Advisory Board recommended based on unmet needs, and this was identified in preliminary park assessment findings from Pros Consulting. In District 4, they identified Montevilla Trails Park. In District 1, Garfield Park. They also identified Central Avenue Park and FM511 Kickball Field Park. And here's some photos of what a Kaboom playground looks like. So next steps, again, we'd like to have a huddle. We'd like to rally our constituents. We're proposing April 25th on that date, if that's okay with all of you, for everyone to meet at their park and rally for their district's park.
Good. It's a great effort. I think we need to get the community excited. Thank you, Debbie, for helping us out with that. Any other comments? Thanks again, girls. Doing great work. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, right?
Yes.
It's my brother's keeper, right?
Yes.
We have a meeting tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You.
Item number 5.
Consent agenda items, items number A through H.
Mayor, I'd like to pull one of the items for further review. One of the rezoning cases, I was approached by some of the residents, the neighboring residents, and I'd like to have them talk to our staff before we vote on the final hearing.
Which item is that?
I believe it's 5E. Is that the Paris Alton Gloria?
Yes,
5E?
yes.
Just like before I was voted on the commission, I didn't know how the rezoning process worked and the notices that are sent, and a lot of these people didn't know until one of the neighbors caught it. I visited some of the neighbors as well. I didn't pick up the signatures, but I do have them here of all the people with concerns. So if I could share those with staff before we
Sure.
make a decision, I'd
I think
appreciate that.
that's a good move.
I'll
What
second that.
item is it? 5 what?
5E,
B?
E, as in
E.
Edward.
Okay.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion for all items in item number 5 with the exception of E.
Yes.
And we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Exclude item E. Okay.
Thank you.
Item number 6.
Boards and commissions, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint members to the Brownsville Beautification Committee.
Mayor, Commissioner, we got two of the appointees that need to be reappointed. Marla Hernandez has never responded, actually, has never, and we have not been able to locate her. And Linda Marin has resigned. We got 5 applicants: Teresa Saldivar, David Belcree, Rodrigo Moreno, Jimmy Paz, and Monica De Leman that wish to be appointed.
Mayor, I served, when I started with Brownsville Beautification, and Mr. Jimmy Paz is a big asset to the Brownsville Beautification. So with the commission's approval, I'd like to appoint Mr. Jimmy Paz.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Now we need one more.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does anybody?
District 4.
I'll make a motion to appoint Monica Dittman, I believe. I'm sorry if I didn't say it right.
Dearlum.
Dearlum, I'm sorry, I can't see
Is
it
it
from here.
Dearlum?
I don't think it's Dearlum.
No, it's something else.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to nominate her.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
It's Monica Dieterman for the record.
Dieterman, I'm so sorry,
Yeah,
Monica,
Dieterman.
wherever you are. That happens to me all the time.
She forgave you since you got appointed.
What's that?
Will be administering the oath of office to them tomorrow at noon at our meeting. We postponed the meetings to the action tonight, so they can.
Okay. So post that on our website at the meeting for the beautification committees tomorrow at noon. Thank you, Mr. Rubio.
Item number 7, public hearings. Public hearing and action on first reading on resolution number 2015-021 to authorize the filing of applications with the Federal Transit Administration, an operating administration of the United States Department of Transportation for federal transportation assistance authorized by 49 U.S.C. Chapter 53, Title 23, United States Code, and other federal statutes administered by the Federal Transit Administration.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. With me today, I've got Sarah Jabunsky. She's our new Grants and Public Outreach Manager. She will be responsible for applying these grants and also doing the reporting on them. So I will allow for her to make the presentation.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners. I'm going to briefly discuss the Urban Area Formula Grant Program and the city's partial allocation for the fiscal year of 2015 for the proposed program of projects and local match required in each section. The Urbanized Area Formula Program, also known as Section 5307 Program, assists in the development and improvement and the use of public transportation systems in urbanized areas. This year, the city's partial federal apportionment is $1,615,437. It is approximately represents 52% of the proposed funding allocation. The remaining release of funds is anticipated for a later sometime this year. The program of projects in Section 5307 funds allow for eligible activities such as capital, planning, and operating expenses. The match ratio for capital projects is 80% federal and 20% local match. The preventative maintenance includes activities, supplies, and materials used for our fleet maintenance. The construction of the multimodal terminal, which includes finalizing the parking garage. Our next slide shows the shortage range transit planning, and this includes our shared cost with the MPO to support a salary of our transit planner. Under the operating assistance, $1,424,753 has a 50-50 split match between federal and local, as you can see there on the slide. Here is a summary of the partial funding for Section 5307 budget. This table shows the entire proposed program of project. The city's contribution will be $938,144, which will be matched by $1,615,437 in federal funds. The total partial funding will be $2,553,581. Again, it reflects approximately 52% of the total proposed funding allocation for the fiscal year 2015. At this point, You may open the public hearing to receive comments, and if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them either before or during the public hearing.
Okay. Public hearing is now open. Is this only have one reading? Or is it, does this ordinance only have one reading, this grant? Okay. All right. Well, if I have no public comment, Commissioners, could I hear a motion?
Move to close public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Move to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Very well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Norma.
Welcome.
Item number 8, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 2015-672-H to amend Chapter 18, Article 6, Electricity Divisions 1 through 6, and dealing with related matters.
Mayors, members of the City Commission, we're bringing the amendments to the local electrical ordinance. The electrical code that we adopt is a national code, but we have a local ordinance to, the code is a minimum code, so we have some amendments so that we can have some stricter restrictions. The reason we went back to amend it also was that it was there was a large portion of it when it was originally adopted in 1971 that have been outdated, and we needed to clean up the ordinance. There's only 4 major points that we addressed that in talking to the electrical contractors that we felt that needed to be adjusted. One is, I would like to go through them. One is the use of aluminum wiring for feeders and distribution. That wasn't allowed in the city. The technology has improved, and it's more cost effective. The utility companies use them, so we use that. The other one is the number of outlets that can be put on a circuit. The city is more restrictive than the code, so we've increased that also at the request of the contractors. The fee schedule for registration of contractors has been adjusted. Those that are currently registered with us can, if they renew prior to expiration, they'll get a lower rate than new contractors. And the last item is that we're going to require all permits that are issued for new construction to have a working clearance so that we can do a more thorough inspection at the final inspection, because there will be power to the units, to the structures. Those are the highlights of it. So we would hope that the commission approve this item.
This is what you've been working on for months with them, right? Probably
Yes.
even over a year.
Yes, sir.
And this is what we initially had complaints about at the beginning?
Yes, sir.
And
Some of
you've
the
been,
items.
all this time you've been addressing?
Yes, sir.
Everybody's been pretty much,
The department has had meetings with the local electrical contractors. They've been invited to internal workshops, and they discussed it, and this is what we've come up with.
And I was part of a couple of those meetings, and I want to thank Leo, Mr. Gomez, Julio, and the other inspectors, because a lot of these meetings were held after work hours to accommodate the electricians, and you guys took your time, and I got a lot of feedback from the electricians, and they were very grateful and satisfied.
Anybody have any public comments out there? We have anybody?
the owners of the electrical companies, you all are okay?
Yeah,
You good?
okay. And Leo and Evaristo, how are we doing with being able to do some of these permits online and reflecting them online as to who's been approved and who's not?
All the subcontractors for, I'm going to say over almost a year, we have can access, if they register as an online contractor, they can request a permit online, they can pay for the permit online, and they can view all their permits online.
Okay, that's good.
We're
That's
currently,
good. Thank you guys for doing that, because I think that's, in keeping up with the rest of the world, that's a good thing. Thank you so much. Anybody else have public comment? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Would close?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Would approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you, Leo.
Item number 9, public hearing and action on substantial amendment for the 2012-2014 one-year action plans.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Jose Perez. I'm the CDBG Manager for the Office of Grant Management and Community Development. Today I'll be providing a summary on the substantial amendment that we'll be doing today for a one-year action plan from 2012 to 2014. Any substantial amendment is prompted when the city makes certain changes to certain plans. Some of those would be to change the goal, the priority, or activity of the consolidated plan, which is a 5-year plan that our office submits to our regional office, to carry out an activity using funds from any program covered by the CON plan, not previously covered in an action plan. So if we have a 5-year consolidated plan, each year we have to submit a 1-year action plan. If that project is not in there, then we would have to do a substantial amendment to include it in there. To change the purpose, scope, location, or beneficiaries of an activity included in the annual action plan. So we've had about several projects, and each one of these pretty much satisfies one of the changes, Further, substantial amendment to the CON plan or annual action plan is defined by the city as a transfer between 2 or more plan activities that is greater than 50% of the ESG funding, 30% of the home funding, or 20% of the CDBG funds. The substantial amendment process schedule, we started the comment period back on March 4th, and we ended the 30-day comment period on March 26th. During that time, we received 0 comments from the community. We also had our first public hearing on March 4th at the Southmost Community Network Center. We had 0 attendees at that time. And then today would be the second public hearing. After we satisfy these requirements, the submission, we will be submitting this to our HUD field office April 8th, 2015. As you can see, this is a summary of our proposed changes. We have the Southmost Community Center Dome, which has been discussed several times here already, and now we are officially de-obligating all the CDBG funds that were committed in the past 3 years. We will also be decreasing the funding for the Villanueva Sewer Improvement Project. It's a trilateral project that we have with the Texas Water Development Board and PUB. Fortunately, there was excess funds through the Water Development Board, so therefore we can actually minimize the funding that's committed through the city of Brownsville. We will then be increasing the budget to the Sports Park Community Center Dome by approximately $1.1 million. The Southmost Hike and Bike Trail will also have an increase of approximately $172,000. The Central Fire Station rehabilitation will also have an increase of $143,000. And the Boot Camp Elderly Replacement Program will have an increase of $122,000. So we've modified, we've looked at every option that's viable right now through our timelines and requirements, and we felt that these are going to be the best projects that we can currently commit funding to and would have the greatest impact towards the community. The only other change that would occur here is because funding has already been spent for the Southmost Community Center Dome under Phase 1, there would have to be a repayment back to HUD that would be coming from city funds. But because this project was also a project with FEMA, our actual contribution and repayment will only be 25% versus actually having to be 100%, which equates to about $56,000. That money in turn would then come back to the city of Brownsville, and we could invest those funds into other projects. And just a little background on some of the different challenges. As many of you know, the Southmost Community Center Dome had several challenges through its funding period up to now. So basically, we had challenges with the design, the procurement, and the deadlines that were coming up. So therefore, we had to de-obligate the funding to that project completely. The Villanueva project, like I mentioned, we already had funding through the Texas Water Development Board. So therefore, we were able to minimize the funding in that project. And then we will be increasing again the Sports Park Dome, like I mentioned earlier. I'm not going to really go through this again since I already gave a little summary. The only one that I do want to touch base on would be the Youth Homeless Resource Center, because there's not really going to be a change in funding. It's mainly changing the scope of the project. Originally, the intent was to provide services to youth. However, there was a lot of challenges with us finding an organization that would facilitate the administration of the program. Therefore, we worked with several partners that have other programs right now, and we decided to now name it the Brownsville Community Resource Center. That way it allows us to have more flexibility with the type of funding, the type of programming that would be available, and therefore it can impact not just only one type of community. And then I guess I'll open it up to public comment here.
Any comments? I'll entertain a motion. Close.
Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Action item.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Good work.
Item
Item
10,
number 10.
public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 2015-748-F to amend Chapter 98 Traffic and Vehicles, Article 4, Speed Restrictions, Section 98-134, Alleys, and establishing speed limits in alleys in the city of Brownsville and dealing with related matters.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I have come to my attention from citizens and also officers of PD that some alleys are made for the heavy traffic, using to people who live in the back of the alleys or using as a cut through, and they're having high speeds, especially on the west side where the trail's at right now. We would like to, they want to put some speed limits. The only thing is that there's nothing in the ordinance stating that what the speed holds on the alleys. Call out, contact other cities. Most of them have 15, 10, and 5. I think we did the speed checks, and most of the majority were, I think, will be 10 miles an hour per hour, so it fit pretty good there. So I'm recommending to go to 10 miles an hour for all city alleys in the city of Brownsville.
And Robert, did you speak with the police? I mean,
I talked to the chief. Chief said to go ahead and press on.
okay, very good.
I think that's a really good idea because I've gotten complaints asking for speed bumps in their alleys. So hopefully this solves it.
We're trying to keep away from that.
This is a public hearing. Anybody?
Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
No public comment, Mayor. No one has signed up for public comment.
No one signed up.
Is that campaign?
Action items, item 12, consideration and action to approve an interlocal agreement between the City of Brownsville and the Brownsville Public Utilities Board in which the PUB will make the required funds available to the city for payment to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers as may be needed for the local share of cost of the Resaca Ecosystem Study.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, before I discuss this item, I'd like to pass out the interlocal agreement. There are some minor changes, and the only change that, from the one that you have in your packet is this is a $3 million study. The local share is $1.5 million. The original, or what you have in the packet, it says that the payments to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers would be $500,000 each year. This one says within $1.5 million within the 3-year period. Of course, the city supports the efforts by the PUB to obtain a study by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and this is for the Resaca ecosystem within the city corporate limits. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers requires that local sponsors pay for 1/2 of the cost of the study, not to exceed $1.5 million within a 3-year period. Through the interlocal agreement between the PUB and the city, the Brownsville PUB will make the required funds available to the city for payment to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers as may be needed for the local share of the cost of the study. In accordance with the city charter and ordinances, the Brownsville PUB agrees to transfer to the city an additional amount for the sole purpose of paying the 50% of the local share to pay for the cost of the study. As it is written in the agreement, the term net revenue of the Brownsville PUB means surplus funds after meeting all flow of funds requirements under the current law and bond ordinances. Total disbursements from the Brownsville PUB to the city under this agreement shall not exceed $1.5 million within the 3-year period. Under this agreement, the city agrees to deposit the amount of money that's going to be transferred by the Brownsville PUB into a separate account dedicated to the payment of this study's local share. and to disperse the funds from this account to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers as required. The city's obligation to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for the study shall not exceed the funds received from the Brownsville PUB under this agreement, and no other funds are obligated towards the payment of the local share of the study. The city agrees to enter into an agreement with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers related to the timely payments by the city of the local share of the study, subject to the limitations set forth in the agreement. All funds dispersed in accordance with this agreement are public purposes and are not grant, gift, or device to the utility system revenues for either non-public or private purposes. This agreement will terminate upon the earlier of either A, payment of the city to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers of the local share of the cost of the study, or B, termination of the agreement between the city and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers related to the payment of the local share of the cost of the study. Termination of this agreement shall be subject to the disbursements by the city to the PUB of any funds remaining in the account described in this agreement. This agreement has already been adopted by the Brownsville PUB and was adopted on March 16, 2015, as well as the first year funding amount. And of course, the city will amend its budget for this project accordingly. Way back in 2002, between 2002 and 2008, the city did have what we call a Resaca restoration project, where we spent, our share was $1,159,648. The federal share was $1,086,038, and the following slide just identifies those payments during that particular year. This win-win situation rather for the city. We recommend that this interlocal agreement be adopted.
But please also note that the funding back then didn't come directly from general fund, it came from the WEIR money that was still available. So it wasn't $1.5 million, it was put out of city coffers.
Well, we actually have a certificates of obligation, Commissioner. That's where the money came from. Two COs.
Okay. Any questions? Do I hear a motion? Let's see, it's just an action item.
Move to approve?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Item 13, consideration and action on resolution number 2015-040 to approve the submittal of an application to Build It with Kaboom Playground Grant Opportunity, accepting and taking certain actions with respect to the Kaboom application terms.
Honorable Mayor and Commissioners, as highlighted in my presentation, we do need to go through the application process, and we will have to identify a site for the playground. So we ask your approval to enter into the community-wide competition in order to submit an application to Kaboom.
Very good.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Kaboom.
Thank you.
Item 14, consideration and action on resolution number 2015-041 to support House Bill 1712 and any other legislation which supports the establishment of an innovative workforce training center in the Rio Grande Valley at Texas Southmost College.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Commission. I'd like to introduce first Dr. Lily Tessero and Mr. Lewis, Chet Lewis, VP of Finance and Administration. They're going to help me with this presentation. Tonight we're asking you to approve resolution number 2015-041, which it would ask for your support of HB 1712, which is a request to build a workforce center here in Brownsville with the TSC. So with that, let me introduce President Tessero.
Mayor Martinez, how are you? Commissioners, thank you so much for this opportunity and truly appreciate the support that you're providing to Texas Southmost College and that you have been providing over the last year and a half now, four semesters into our operations. The center is going to basically be able to provide additional training and skills development in some of the key areas that are going to be needed very, very much as we move forth with the arrival of several of these wonderful businesses that have been brought to the area. Texas LNG, for example, we've been working with them and they're looking at needing, he said, probably over 600 construction-related jobs. That means that welding, that means that construction, that means that HVAC, electrical, all these areas are going to be much needed. And so this center will basically be able, if we bring in some of the money, we'll be able to create a welding program and also expand the other programs that we already have in place. We want to grow them. So just so you'll know, our goal is to have it over at the iTech Center. We have already invested over $1 million in that center. Just so you'll know, we have now 14 programs there, career and technical programs. So our hope is to bring another one there with the welding and to expand those others. So we also have, just so you'll know, a Senate bill that's the counterpart of this one. Senator Lucio has also introduced Senate Bill 2017 as part of this effort.
Well, and Dr. Tercetto, I think I can speak on behalf of the commission and the city. You guys are doing a marvelous job, Mr. Lewis, to run that organization. Right now, we're talking with the Economic Development Group, and there may be another wonderful, announcement within a very short period of time, which only makes and emphasizes the need for this particular approval on behalf of the city. But keep up the good work. I think you're going to have more than enough work.
I think so.
And congratulations on those programs.
Thank you. Thank you.
Motion to approve?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Good luck with you
Commissioner
guys.
Villarreal.
Anything we
Thank
can
you.
do to help.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.
Item 15, consideration and action to acknowledge the city's comprehensive annual financial report and single audit report for the fiscal year ending in September 30th, 2014.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor. This item is going to be presented by our auditor, Mr. Carlos Barrera, with Logan Chilton.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the commission. I'll be brief. You have your small book in front of you. With respect to the audit, let me just go through a few items. Number one, page 21. Yeah. Page 21 is the beginning of our opinion, and on page 22, basically up on the top, is the opinion itself on the financial statements. It is an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion in accounting terms, which is the best you can get. So, that being said, let me flip over real quick, page 49. 49 is your budget to actual, what you started with, and we're only talking about the general fund. You've got a lot of funds, but the general fund is the key fund of the city. So this is for last fiscal year, and you can see total revenues last year were budgeted around 97.4, and you ended up hitting 98.8. So you had about a $1.4 million increase or excess of the revenues at that point, and you will see all the way down you have your expenditures were actually 3.7 under budget as well. And flipping the page, you'll see the right there where it says net change in fund balance, $5 million. That is the change in your budget. In other words, you expected about somewhere at around a $5.9 million excess of expenses over revenues. You ended up only at $933,000 excess. So you were $5 million to the better, which is good. You tighten the ropes. Page 136, I'm not going to go to that, but that gives you a much bigger detail with respect to the actual fund, the general fund, and every one of the components of that we're talking about. For example, general government on the expenditure side at $15 million. There's 40 or 50 items that comprise that specific line item. So if you want a real detailed analysis, you can go to page 136 and see that. If you flip back to page 41, which is Exhibit 10, it also kind of gives you a bird's eye view in effect. I'm sorry, not Exhibit 10, Exhibit 9. It gives you a bird's eye view in effect of the changes in the fund balance for the current year. And basically what we just talked about earlier, $1.9 million favorable fund balance. And it also gives you pretty much what we talked about before. And you'll see on that left corner, left column, $23.9 million is the balance in the general fund. That being said, flipping back to Exhibit 8, which is on page 38, gives you a historical perspective on what your general fund balances were. Starting in 2004, you'll see the fund balance at 12.7, and you'll see every year thereafter. And you can see last year it started at 24. It ended at 24.8 million. So it's a little down, that 933,000 mark. So it's now sitting at 23.9 million. Still good. There's two other line items below that is the unassigned fund balance. And you'll see the unassigned balance in 2014 went down somewhat, but it's still within your policy. Your policy is that it needs to be between 15 and 20%. So you're still there, and that's still good. The page 4, I'm sorry, the other issue I was going to tell you about is the footnotes to the financial statements, starting on page 75. And if you look at page 130, starting on page 130, these are all your fund balances across the entire spectrum of the city, from the capital projects funds to the special revenues funds, debt service funds, and of course your general funds, which are about 41 or so. And you can see all the way down between non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, unassigned. And again, you go all the way down, you'll see that 23.927 on the right corner. That's what makes up your total fund balances. And then, of course, your unassigned, which is that 15.7, which is what you're gauging your ratio by. The other part of the audits, of course, there's a lot to it. We did meet with the audit committee and did talk about it with respect to how our audit went during the course of the year. But the single audit section, which is way back around 245, believe it or not, most of our audit is comprised about compliance audit. And the compliance audit basically is us going in there and looking at all your federal grants and your state grants and determining whether or not you did what you were supposed to do. This year, we have no findings. We have no findings, no question costs, nothing, which basically means that we did test a lot. There were a lot more grants this year that we had to test than last year. But what's good about it is that we just didn't find anything. You did everything the way you're supposed to do it. And that's very commendable to the city and to the staff that administered those federal and state grants. So congratulations to that. And as far as where you were on the prior year, page 259 is the summary of prior year audit findings, which we have to, in effect, present, and also what the status is. You've cleared them all. And so you had a very good year with respect to your audit, or our audit. We had a good audit, and you still have a good fund balance. So any questions you all may have, I'll be trying. I'd like to answer them.
Thank you, and thank you, Lupe. Good work. And Pete, good work. It's an action item.
Would acknowledge. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 16.
Item 16, consideration and action to authorize the acceptance of the Universal Service Administration Company Schools and Libraries Division grants for the Central and Southmost Branch Libraries in the amount of $1,768,186.97 million.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, in your packet is the documentation regarding the Universal Service Administration Company grants awarded to the Brownsville Library System. The library applied for and was awarded the 2 grants. The grant funds are to be used to replace the obsolete network equipment of both libraries. There is a 10% local match, and those funds are in place, and staff recommends approval.
10% is not bad. Moved approved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Purchase bids and contracts, item number 17. Consideration and action to request authorization for change order number 1 for the New Freedom Bus Stop Improvement Project for Billy Mitchell and Southmost.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. In November 2014, the City Commission awarded D&G Energy of McAllen a contract in the amount of $330,341 for the construction of several sidewalks, curb improvements, and ADA ramps, shelters, ADA paths throughout the Southmost, La Galaxia, Heart Hospital, FM 802, and the UTRGV areas. In January of this year, the Texas Department of Transportation advises that we had some expiring funds in one of our New Freedom grants that we would be able to utilize under this contract. So we have approximately $78,146 that were identified for additional project sites. 5 project sites were identified with the assistance of Naismith and the City Engineering Department. And we are requesting recommendation for change order number 1 of $78,146. The 5 sites are in the Southmost area.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Item 18, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of 2 buses for Brownsville Metro.
As part of Brownsville Metro's fleet replacement program, said buses would replace 2 existing units that have met their useful life of 5 years or 250,000 miles as defined by the Federal Transit Administration. Brownsville Metro intends to acquire the aforementioned vehicles in the Texas Smart Buy Contract 72 Creative Bus Sales pricing with Creative Bus Sales as the primary vendor. The Texas contract pricing is a purchase method recognized and approved by the state of Texas as per section 791.025 of the Government Code. Interlocal cooperation contracts that consider this methodology to be advantageous in acquiring these vehicles. It has satisfied state bidding requirements and such acquisition by government entities with legislative approval of with the state of Texas. The cost breakdown for the vehicles are for each vehicle, 2015 Champion Challenger is $73,913 for a total price for the 2 buses of $147,830. FTA funding of $112,684 with the balance local match coming in at for a total cost of $140,810. Brownsville staff recommends approval of this contract to Creative Bus Sales in the amount of $147,830 for 2 Champion Chancellor buses.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 19, consideration and action to request authorization for change order number 4 of B Metro Transit Fleet Maintenance Contract.
At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Eddie Velarde. He's going to be our B Metro Transit Fleet Maintenance Administrator. He has been with us approximately 3 months. Mr. Velarde is responsible for the oversight and contract compliance of the fleet maintenance contractor, First Transit. Amendment number 4 is for the inclusion of units 404 and 405 to the maintenance contract, which was in place prior to the start of the MetroConnect services. This amendment will cover the 2nd year of the MetroConnect services and will cover the preventative maintenance, replacement parts such as tires, brakes, suspension, air condition, and the addition of 1 mechanic. These units will cover over 200,000 annual miles. Mr. Velarde reviewed the contract amendment and information provided by the purchasing department and the contractor. The total cost for amendment number 4 is $68,000, with funding coming from the MetroConnect ICB 1501 grant. At this time, B Metro staff is recommending approval of amendment 4 as presented.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you and congratulations. And Andy, I hear you did a marvelous job up in Austin testifying, so thank you for that.
Oh,
Good.
thank you.
Item 20, consideration and action to award a contract for refurbishment of 3 ambulances for the Brownsville Fire and EMS Department.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, we're here for consideration and action to award a contract for refurbishing of 3 Fraser ambulances for the Brownsville Fire Department to Fraser of Houston, Texas, in the amount of $244,911. This procurement reflects HGAC contract pricing. Funding for this procurement is available through 2015 CO Fund 89-320-943. The Fire Department concurs with this recommendation.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lenny.
Item 21, consideration and action to award a term contract for internet service for the Brownsville Public Library.
Mayor, Commissioners, at the request of the Public Information Services Department, the Purchasing Contract Services Department is listed Department of Information Resources proposal for the subject procurement under Section 791.025, Contract and Purchasing Section. Texas Government Code, the bidding requirements has been satisfied. Therefore, advertisement or invitations for the sealed formal bids were not required for this procurement. The project consists of purchase and delivery of equipment and infrastructure listed on the attached proposal in your packets. Staff recommends consideration or award of a term contract for internet services for the City of Brownsville Public Library, Brownsville Public Library System, to the Time Warner of Harlingen, Texas, in the amount of $47,000 per year, and a total contract amount of $142,200 for 3 years. This is a DIR pricing, and funding for this procurement is in place. Staff recommends approval.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 22, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of network and infrastructure equipment for the Brownsville Public Library.
This one, again, is a DIR pricing, so I won't read all that. We've worked together with Insight Public Sector representatives to develop the technical specifications for the equipment and infrastructure for both library buildings. This is basically spending the grant money that we've already approved. Funding is in place for this. The procurement value is $195,590.79, and staff recommends approval.
Approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 23, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of 10 police patrol vehicles for the Brownsville Police Department.
Mayor,
Jake Howard.
Commissioner, the Brownsville Police Department is requesting your authority to purchase an additional 10 police vehicles. These are patrol vehicles. We're actually our plan is to do probably at least one purchase per fiscal year. So when our fleet retires, we don't retire them all at the same time, and it doesn't, the ticket item. We worked with the purchasing department. We got sealed bids. 28 vendors were contacted. We only received 2 bids, sealed bids. One actually got invalidated because they made a mistake on the pricing. In the interest of trying to make a fair value, make sure we got the best value, we went ahead and got an HGAC contract value price and also a buy board price. The sealed bid actually from Gunn, Chevrolet and Selma, Texas actually was the lowest bidder. It's just shy of $275,000. Our funding is forfeiture, which we've been spending on all our vehicles. So federal forfeiture we have account for.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 24, consideration and action to award a term contract for hauling services for the Public Works Department.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners. Tonight, we're requesting your approval to award a term contract for the purchase and hauling of covered soil material for the Public Works Department, our landfill division, and other city departments. The term contract derived from the solicitation to a total of 2 material suppliers. The contract will be awarded to multiple contractors, a level 1 primary supplier, a level 2 secondary supplier. Suppliers are Mesquite Farms, LCC of Brownsville, Texas, the low responsive bidder at the stipulated price, Rio Grande Hauling of Brownsville, Texas, the low responsive bidder at the stipulated price. The contract will allow all city departments to maximize efficiency on their construction projects. It will maintain a materials stockpile such as sand during our hurricane season, and maintain the environmental compliance at our landfill. Funding for this contract is in place, and we're recommending approval for this.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Santana.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.